Home of Nintendo and the bullet train, Japan was once a pioneer in innovation. But then, fresh global competition emerged. I'm heading home to meet the next generation of entrepreneurs across the country, where starting your own business wasn't always seen as an ideal career choice.
For many years, some startups have kind of disadvantages in Japan, but from now it will be changed.
The government is putting its weight behind this and has tapped into its huge pension fund worth $1.5 trillion, hoping to increase the number of startups by tenfold over the next 5 years. They want to encourage a spirit of enterprise in every corner of the land. I've come to Tokushima. It's a bit of a backwater and hasn't got a reputation of being a thriving area. But it's been trying to reinvent itself as a place for startups. And in recent years, a local company has hit the jackpot by taking its new venture across the country. This little truck offers a lifeline to thousands of elderly who live in a remote area like this. It's a supermarket on wheels called Tokushimaru, and it's named after the area. Junichi Kishimoto, one of the company's drivers, is making a regular stop in the small town of Kamiyama. Fewer than 5,000 people live here, and all of his customers are over 75. They no longer drive, so a service like this is not just crucial for their essentials, but also has a big impact on their social lives.
He remembers what I want to buy every week. If my grandkids are coming on Sunday, I request something special. It's nice to be able to chat with friends after my shopping.
Oh, no, I cannot use a smartphone. I have been shopping with them for 5 years because it's very helpful.
The company was founded a decade ago. Initially, it only had 2 trucks in Tokushima. Today, it's got more than 1,000 of these on the road across Japan, with annual sales topping $150 million. Some of the customers live alone after their partners passed away, so it's also a nice weekly bit of human interaction. For Junichi, joining the company was more about helping the elderly rather than picking up a wage.
I used to work at the nursing home, and I realized some residents came to live there because they were worried about their everyday food. So I wondered how I could help. That's when I found this company.
The company's founder, Tatsuya Sumitomo, is a serial entrepreneur. He's decided to start up the venture after seeing his own parents struggle with their daily routine.
My parents in their 80s lived in a rural area, and they were really struggling to get hold of basic necessities. Their neighbors were the same, but no one in the society was coming up with a solution. That's when I thought this could be a good business.
He started many businesses over the past 30 years and has this piece of advice for younger entrepreneurs, firmly believing making mistakes was not necessarily a negative.
There is no point in increasing your knowledge by reading books. You have to go to the field, to the real world, because it's really different from what you can learn at school. You need to fail, you have to struggle, you have to face difficulties, and that's how you grow.
The Japanese government is playing catch-up with its economic rivals when it comes to startups. Recently, it announced it would tap into the world's largest $1.5 trillion pension fund to finance the scheme. Under current law, 5% of the fund can be used for the new initiative, which is the equivalent of $75 billion. The plan wants to encourage more local companies to think big. But one of the main barriers to innovation might be Japan's own lucrative domestic market of elderly customers. Up until now, they've not demanded cutting-edge technology, but that's beginning to change. So will the likes of Tokushimaru join the online revolution? The company is also moving with the times. At the moment, all the orders are in the driver's head, but it's now testing out an app which it hopes will become available in the next 2 years. And that means the next generation of customers will then have an option to order online. Mr. Sumitomo is fully aware the company needs to go digital or risk being left behind by its rivals.
The baby boomers in their late 70s will soon become our customers. They have better internet literacy, so we're combining our mobile supermarket with online shopping. No matter how much technology is developed, our basic needs to eat and to sleep don't change. There will always be customers who want to see fresh produce in person before making the purchase. So I do think there will be demand for our mobile supermarket.
The senior citizens of Kamiyama may prefer to pay cash for the moment, but this little town has big plans to innovate. Like most rural areas in Japan, the population has shrunk and aged as young people left for the cities. Now, it's about to welcome an influx of teenagers dreaming of running their own businesses. Right behind me, they're building a brand new boarding school, which is quite rare and groundbreaking. They're planning on opening it in spring of next year, which they hope will produce the next generation of Japanese entrepreneurs. The school is for 15 to 20-year-olds. It'll cost just over $20,000 each year to attend. Across the river, there's an old abandoned school which is being refurbished into accommodation for the 200 plus students and staff. The man behind it is Chikahiro Terada. He's the boss of Tokyo-based startup Sansan, which specializes in digitalization of business cards. Mr. Terada isn't from here, so why did he choose Tokushima and this small town?
12 years ago, I set up a remote office here because I heard that Kamiyama is an interesting town with high-speed internet at old houses.
Mr. Terada paid a visit and met with local businessman Shinya Ominami, who was behind this town's revival.
After Sansan, others followed to set up their remote offices in Kamiyama. It was exciting to see the town being rejuvenated. I then started wondering what else I could do to contribute back to society, and that's when I thought education. I became an entrepreneur after graduating from university, but I don't recall learning any crucial skills that I needed to start a business with at school, so that's what I wanted to address.
The curriculum will include subjects such as engineering, programming, designing, as well as business skills like marketing. These potential students are here to attend the school's summer camp.
This school is unprecedented and fits my purpose. That's why I chose it.
Where I live in Kanagawa, it isn't very rich in nature. So I thought by coming here, it'll polish up my creativity.
This school teaches everything from entrepreneurship spirit, technology, and art. I want to start my own business using AI and the latest technology.
There are also 50 entrepreneurs coming here as guest lecturers. I think that's very important for our students to know that Steve Jobs, Elon Musk are normal people, that behind a new revolution is an ordinary person. There's no financial subsidies from the local government, but they gave us an abandoned school and a plot of land. We've also managed to raise $15 million from donations and through a local tax system.
More than 30 companies are now behind this, mostly Japanese, but also international ones like consultancy Deloitte. And in a country where most elite students have long aspired to join large corporates until recently, his ambitious plans have seen some big interest, with more than 500 students from all over Japan attending briefings to find out about the first 40 slots.
The Japanese children's mentality is definitely changing. The top-notch elite no longer want to join big corporations. They're more interested in starting their own business.
What they're doing here is exactly what the Japanese government is hoping to see, with startups and entrepreneurship popping up across the country. But the fact remains that Japan is still playing catch-up against its regional rivals, and this change in mindset is not a quick fix. Crucially, it's committed to a 50-50 ratio of girls and boys, which is a step in the right direction for Japan, where men still dominate the startup scene and the workforce. Mr. Terada is hoping to raise more funds so future students can study for free. He believes that's the sort of investment required to train a future generation of forward-thinking entrepreneurs if Japan wants to succeed in competing with Silicon Valley. Tokyo tends to get a lot of global attention, especially when it comes to tech startups. I'm traveling on one of Japan's most famous inventions, a bullet train, to another city that wants some of that spotlight. Kyoto is the country's ancient capital, known for its centuries-old temples and shrines. But its biggest festival, Gion, which started in the 9th century, is now going digital.
Shows where all the carriages are.
This is Machi Takahashi, who started this digital map business in 2016.
This is a map that is totally dedicated to Gion Festival.
So can you tell me why this house is on your digital map?
So this house is a preservation office for Ofunahoko, which is the major carriage of the Gion Festival.
And this street, I guess, gets really crowded
on
the day.
Oh yeah, it gets very crowded in the city, but it's really fun. So it's really important for us to find where the carriages are.
This is where the business idea came to her, at Kyoto's movie theme park.
We wanted to show where users are. It was really hard to find yourself on these objective maps.
So how does it work? Who pays you to be on the map? Is it users or businesses?
We don't charge users. We only ask businesses to pay to use our service. It's an annual subscription, and these businesses are developers, transportations, travels, and also theme parks. So because they have these maps that are already there, but they're analog. They're on these papers or on the signboards or on the PDF on their websites, and they're not interactive. So they want us to make them interactive, digitized with GPS and up-to-date information.
Kiyomizu Temple has, I guess, always been a popular tourist attraction, but it's so crowded today, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the first time in 3 years that it's so crowded.
Is it a relief for you and I guess some of your clients?
Oh yeah, because of these visitors coming back, our clients are getting a little more of their business coming back.
What about you being a female entrepreneur? Because I've noticed that Japan's startup scene is still very much male-dominated. Have you faced more challenges, I guess, when you wanted to raise money?
Definitely. When I started in 2015, thinking about starting my own business, it was more there were no women in this information technology, tech field. So I had to find my way into this community, so that I'll find VCs or funding and all these supports. So I had to actually contact somebody in Silicon Valley instead of in Japan.
It's interesting that you say you had to contact someone in Silicon Valley. I mean, you travel around the world. Do you notice the difference between the Japanese startup scene and elsewhere?
Oh yeah, definitely. There are definitely more female leaders outside of Japan who are visible in conferences or in this ecosystem. There are more VCs who are female or more government leaders who are female. But in Japan, they hadn't me on any support, especially for women, until very recently. But they just started working on that.
If there's one piece of advice that you have for younger entrepreneurs, what would that be?
Jump into that ecosystem. It's very easy to get to know somebody in that field. And then once you know somebody, it's just a network. And it's a great network that you need to expand your business. We have 10,000 maps.
Machi's success is an exception to the rule. One of the reasons why female entrepreneurs like her find it difficult to raise money is because only 1% of funds that lend money, known as venture capital firms, are run by women. Kathy Matsui is one of them. She's best known for her womenomics drive since the 90s, which has encouraged the Japanese government to improve gender equality. She's still very much working on the same cause, this time helping out a new initiative to increase the number of female politicians. She's also recently started a venture capital fund with 2 female partners.
I would say the vast majority of entrepreneurs and founders we've met so far here in Japan, not surprisingly, are male. But when we think about startups and what are startups really trying to do, they're trying to use innovation to create disruptive businesses, life-changing technologies. And if you're excluding half the population from your potential talent pool as a startup, you're already trying to what I call run a marathon on one leg rather than 2. I think that Japan has actually experienced quite a dramatic expansion in its venture startup ecosystem in the last, say, 8-9 years. We've also seen a visible shift in human capital flow. I think the startup ecosystem was perceived as, well, if you don't work at a big company, you can't fit in a big company, then this is sort of plan B. In other words, not mainstream. But now we're seeing young people coming out of, say, investment banks or consulting firms, thinking, life's short, I want to do something on my own. While we see a lot more entrepreneurs and the whole entire ecosystem has grown something like 7-fold in the past 7 or 8 years, which is big, the absolute amount of money going into startups is still maybe 1/35th or 1/40th that of the United States, despite Japan being the 3rd largest economy in the world, despite having amazing human capital talent, despite having tremendous abundant capital, and despite having some leading edge technologies.
To change that, Japan's elite universities are also setting up their own venture capital firms, in part thanks to government funding. Kyoto University has produced 11 Nobel Prize winners. But it wasn't known for producing a lot of startups, and that's something the government wanted to change. Today, a department dedicated to innovation is led by Koji Murata. In 2015, it received $300 million, along with 3 other universities. The funding allowed Kyoto University to set up 2 funds to invest in its own new ventures. Since then, the number of startups have more than doubled to 242, second only to Tokyo University. Kyoto specializes in deep tech. That's new technology that has a potential to change the world.
This area requires a long time and a large amount of money. So sometimes the private investment company hesitate to enter the investment.
One of the startups which received funding from the university is Eneco Technologies. They're developing the next generation of solar cells called perovskite solar panel, which can create energy not just from sunlight, but also from artificial light.
They're also making this. Look how thin it is. It's like a piece of paper. They're hoping to make it printable in the next 3 years, and they're also making it transparent, so it won't be as dark as this. And you can just put it on your window and create energy without blocking any sunlight.
Our solar sheets have 2 sides, one for sunlight and the other for artificial light. If we make both sides transparent, one sheet can generate energy from both sides.
When ready, they're hoping their solar sheets to have a similar efficiency to a regular solar panel.
We're hoping to market them in 3 to 4 years. But to make them outdoors, we need to make them durable for any kind of weather conditions, so that will take longer.
And this type of venture is exactly what Kyoto University is about. They focus on providing long-term support for the latest innovation and are prepared to play the long game to get it right.
We received a lot of support from Kyoto University before we started our business. Through their program, we received 30 million yen each year. And after our company was founded, the university's venture capital gave us 500 million yen in total. So that's a lot of money. For hard-tech manufacturing business like ours, we struggle to raise money. But Kyoto University's venture capital focuses on investing in companies like ours, so it matched what we needed.
Another startup success story from Kyoto University is this chip manufacturer, Flossphere. It makes power semiconductors which use energy more efficiently and extend the lifespan of products such as electric cars. The company's chips are used everywhere, but a recent global shortage caused by the pandemic has suddenly put the company in the spotlight. Kyoto University graduate Toshimi Hitora founded this company in 2011.
The mentality has changed drastically. Kyoto's uniqueness is being small and yet diverse. Kyoto University is at the heart of it, and with so many researchers in our community, anyone can access what's needed to start a business. It's been 10 years since we started our firm, because deep tech takes time and people in Kyoto understand this.
30 years ago, Japan was a pioneer in the semiconductor industry. Now it has less than 10% of the market share, despite having some of the world's largest tech companies. It's firms like this that the government hopes will lead the road to recovery.
Establishing a significant presence in the highly competitive semiconductor industry, dominated by South Korea and Taiwan, won't happen overnight. China and the US are also trying to put their stamp on the market, with Washington spending some $280 billion on semiconductor production and research in order to reduce dependence on other nations.
Semiconductors are needed globally. Some governments may try to intervene to ensure the supply for their home markets. But it takes a long time to produce semiconductors. To mass produce them, we need a lot of stakeholders, a lot of companies in many countries. That's why the alliance with other companies is important.
That's new innovation dealing with current world problems. Japan is a country with a rich history. This 400-year-old dance called awa odori has found a way to go big outside of the Tokushima area, and it's now performed in other, much bigger cities like Tokyo every year. While some Japanese culture and traditions have gone mainstream globally, many businesses and recent startups still focus on the domestic industry. Its lucrative home market is a blessing and a curse, as companies don't need to expand overseas to become profitable. But if Japan wants to move on from relying on its past glory and catch up with its rivals, they too need to step out of their comfort zone.